Speaker, do you know what the best predictor of future behavior is? Past behavior. That's right. And Canadians have watched.
Well, I guess I have to eat my words because it turns out Mark Carney has proved me wrong. You know what? Everybody just needs to give the Liberals a standing ovation because Mark actually did it. He finally got a deal. Except in this deal, Canada lost just shy of $1 billion and we didn't actually gain anything from it. So I'm Jasmin Laine. Subscribe, like, follow, comment your thoughts down below and share this video. Patty is right, though. Canadians have watched and somehow still voted them in. Maybe it's because they're watching a little bit too much of something in particular, if you catch my drift. CBC. All that and more coming up today on Over Opinionated. But first, I wanted to start off with a more positive story and also respond a little bit to the many emails I have gotten on this matter in particular.
Oh, they got it! Oh my Lord! They got this day! Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Be quiet.
To recap you, that is a clip from what happened at the Universal Ostrich Farm when they were granted a stay and the cull was called off for now by the Supreme Court. Something that really happened in the absolute nick of time. And nobody can better explain that to you than Katie, who is the daughter of the farm owner and who has grown up with these animals. As you know, I'm in my studio 24/7 and I'm always recording new things in here. So yesterday when I had heard this news, I had texted her and then she ended up calling me back while I was in the middle of filming. And I asked if it was okay if I used that audio. She said yes. And here is that call.
We still think that we think that they've killed some and put them in dumpsters already.
Stop.
But even if that select few had to die for the change, we said a huge group prayer in front of the ostriches. And when we finished our prayer, my phone rang and it was Omar.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You can't make this up.
God is good. I don't know. That's all I have to say.
I just kept saying God is bigger than all of us combined.
Yeah. Wow.
And he has this. This is in his hands.
Oh.
And this is pulling the world together.
It is.
This isn't just Canadians. The world is coming together.
Oh my goodness. I'm so relieved.
The world is coming together.
What does this mean? What does this mean now? Or are you guys in the clear for a little while at least?
Yeah, just we are in the clear for just a little while, and we're going to have to go over all the documents.
Mm-hmm.
And then I could actually message you what this really means, but I think while we wait for what the decision of the Supreme Court, if we get in.
I just wanted to say I'm so happy for you and I'm so proud of you. So proud of you. So I know it's been a nightmare.
We've never met. You got a loud, amazing, great voice, and you just you are one warrior, and it's we just need more.
Well, hey, we got this, and I think there's so much that's changing and turning in the tides right now. People are opening their eyes and they're waking up, and your story too was just everything about it was so gut wrenching, and that really makes people think.
So we actually don't really know if these birds do have protective immunity if they had been infected before. We just have to assume that they could have been infected and they may still be infected.
This story has a lot of layers to it. There's a lot of different levels of bureaucracy, government authority. But at the end of the day, the good news is that they have a stay for now. We will find out in about 2 weeks once the CFIA reports to the courts, and then the farm has, I think it's 2 days after that in order to respond, what all of that is. But I wanted to highlight a couple of things here. And, this I think comes more so from me covering politics as in-depth as I do, being in media for as long as I was, and all of the various layers here. And there has been so much backlash in the fact that Pierre Poilievre in specific has not made a comment about this. I know for a fact that this is something they have been looking into. I know for a fact that MPs have commented on this. And Pierre Poilievre, the leader of the opposition who's not from the region, him not bringing any of this up right now makes a lot of sense, as it is a farm case, which is a CFIA matter, which is governed by strict federal agriculture rules and tied to international avian flu protocols. So any national leader who would weigh in without the full legal and scientific facts risks either misrepresenting the case or being accused of politicizing an active Supreme Court file. That's not a place you want to be in as a politician. It doesn't mean that you don't care. It doesn't mean you aren't aware and aren't doing things in the background to become as clear as humanly possible in order to help them in the best possible way, where you aren't breaching or overreaching in federal bureaucracy and departments and international rules and all these things that if you did make a mistake or slip up, or you jumped on something too soon and then evidence comes out otherwise contrary to what you were claiming, could totally ruin his credibility going forward on all of the other bigger national issues as well. Unfortunately, social media demands an instant reaction to absolutely everything by people who oftentimes have no idea what you may or may not be doing, how you may or may not be feeling. I felt this myself with this case, the amount of emails I've gotten about it, and the whole time I'm sitting there reading these messages of people calling me names because I'm not talking about this on my show, while I'm texting the farm owners, while I'm FaceTiming with them, while I'm collecting data and research for it, and very much being a part of it, while I'm bringing it up to my American counterparts, while I'm doing all these things behind the scenes. And so I just think in general, you know, social media thrives so much on, why aren't you saying anything? Oh, wow, you're this and that, and name calling. And sometimes that anger, while contagious, the silence here, and to make sure that you have everything completely 100% right, and you've dotted all your I's and crossed all your T's, that is the most prudent move. Sometimes that's the best move you can make to truly help somebody in a way where there's nothing anybody can get you on to try to take you down afterwards because you took your time.
As I said,
if that isn't the crux of the problem, if the crux of the problem is illegally obtained weapons coming in from the U.S., why isn't the priority placed on actually hiring the people at the border that you said months ago that you would hire? Why isn't the priority on making sure $750 million that you will allot to this program is effectively spent and that police forces are going to enforce it? We have none of those assurances at this moment.
So let me start with the dollars involved in this program. So this was all previously budgeted. So this.
Okay, what? Gary, it's previously budgeted. Guys, like, we already agreed to waste your money. So it's totally, absolutely fine. This was already previously budgeted. Your tax dollars were already previously budgeted for a complete farcical program that is based purely on politics to lie to you to get you to vote for us, because we say we care about gun violence, but we're actually not going to do anything to prevent gun violence. We're just going to create some BS program that targets law-abiding firearms owners and leaves criminals to go and illegally smuggle all the guns that they're doing over the borders, because we haven't done that either. But hey, it was already previously approved in the budget, so leave it.
Oh, Michelle Ferreri is an icon. You know, it is interesting when you hear the Liberals and how they literally just talk so frequently and so proudly and calmly about just wasting your money and shutting down everything that works while destroying everything you have worked for. Canada's budget watchdog just forecasted a massive $68.5 billion deficit this year. It's a big number, but depending on where you're reading your news, the cause and all of the different variables to it are so incredibly different. Some outlets have emphasized the weakened economy, very much focusing on the trade war with the U.S. that's cutting into Ottawa's tax revenue. Others are focusing on the $115 billion of new spending since December and the fact that Canada's debt to GDP ratio has stopped moving. This is exactly why I use Ground News. I've been using them for years, long before they came on board with this show. It's a website and app that doesn't tell you what to think. It just shows you the language that they're using, who they're blaming, what they're blaming, and maybe some of the things they're trying to distract you away from that one of the other sources is covering. That's really important to know. Their blind spot feature is actually how I found this one, because it turns out right-leaning sources are not really talking about this at all yet. And it highlights all of the stories that your side is not covering at all. And right now, you can get 40% off their Vantage plan when you go to ground.news/Jasmin. Every subscription directly helps me, the cause, and Ground News so that they can keep on making sure that you see the whole story. Head on over to ground.news/Jasmin, and you can also scan the QR code on screen.
This government cut the carbon tax.
Sometimes I wonder if they have any shame or any humility, if they feel embarrassed having to say that loudly. I have to believe that they must. They must feel a little embarrassed, but at the end of the day, they know how politics work. So they know we cut the carbon tax. They know that that's going to be clipped and it's going to go viral and people are going to say, yeah, Mark Carney, you cut the carbon tax, without even remotely thinking about the fact that the Liberals defended a policy that caused us so much unnecessary, completely avoidable pain and suffering for so very long. And yeah, the Liberals, speaking of that shame, humility, and embarrassment, I'd like to think that they were slightly embarrassed about Mark Carney finally getting a trade deal. But judging by their social media posts, I don't think they are. Sure, yes, Canada's first ever bilateral agreement with an ASEAN, I don't know how you pronounce that actually, ASEAN, ASEAN, is that a rapper name? Country, I didn't mean to be condescending there, just whatever. It sounds like a huge win. It does, except the devil is always in the details. And as much as they're touting, we're so great, look at all this amazing stuff we're doing, diversifying, blah, blah, blah. I mean, seriously, look at this article by Global News that says Canada signs game-changing trade deal with Indonesia and new defense pact. That's fascinating. As I said, I'm actually quite proud of myself. I was the first one to comment on this one under Mark Carney's profile because he just posted this, where he says Indonesia is projected to become a top 5 global economy by 2050. Our new trade agreement will unlock major economic opportunities for Canadian workers, businesses, and investors. To which I responded with, you should be banned from resharing articles posted by outlets you fund. And the reason for that could be because of these little tidbits inside of this amazing game-changing deal. Sure, on the surface, this all looks really historic, but let's cut through the Prime Minister's own press release. Here's what really happened, okay? So Export Development Canada, EDC, is handing Indonesia's sovereign wealth fund nearly $1 billion in debt financing. Meanwhile, Canadian small businesses can't get loans, farmers are crushed by interest rates and tariffs, and families are suffocating under inflation. So, who actually benefits first? Canadian workers or foreign state-owned funds? Carney says that 95% of Canadian exports to Indonesia, of which there are quite a few, I will give credit there, will soon face lower tariffs. I don't remember anybody putting elbows up against Indonesia. Weird. Well, one big problem, though, Canada already runs a trade deficit with most of Asia, and our exports are mostly raw materials such as potash, wheat, and wood. We ship out the basics. They ship back the manufactured goods, as is the situation with the vast majority of products in Canada. This deal doesn't fix that imbalance at all. It actually just kind of locks us deeper into it. And while he's out there bragging about these wonderful new opportunities, let's not forget the defense agreement that's tucked in alongside this trade deal. Also, you can never start a Mark Carney sentence without a little bit of fear mongering first, because in this, it says, in a more divided and dangerous world. So divided, so dangerous, everybody. Economic growth must be bolstered by shared defense and security, military cooperation, cyber defense, maritime patrols, all while our own forces are underfunded and our NATO promises are not met. Somehow, He always seems to find money through foreign commitments, but never, ever for Canadians at home, hey? Weird how that is. So sure, yeah, this deal is a bit of a game changer, just not at all for you, the Canadian taxpayers who are funding all of this. Definitely just a photo op for Carney and a win for Indonesia, and another reminder that under this government, Canada is indeed a piggy bank for global projects.
To that end, Canada will also contribute $47 million in new funding to Gaza and West Bank to strengthen judicial systems, governance structures, and democratization efforts. This brings Canada's total contributions and assistance to Gaza and the West Bank to over $400 million, including humanitarian supports, health and recovery efforts, and development aid. Finally, as part of Canada's ongoing efforts to stabilize the security situation in Haiti, we're deploying $60 million in new funding. This funding will reinforce the multinational security support mission in Haiti, expand maritime security in the Caribbean, and impede gun and drug trafficking.
While our own economy continues to sink deeper and deeper in debt with no relief. Man, if only Indonesia had offered us just shy of $1 billion in debt financing. Weird how we never get that, hey?
Mr. Speaker, do you know what the best predictor of future behavior is? Past behavior. That's right. And Canadians have watched.
The saddest part of all is the fact that we actually wouldn't even need it. We wouldn't be struggling how we are at all right now. Sure, there's always going to be ebbs and flows in the world, but nothing would be as bad as it is and projected to be far worse if they would just, I don't know, do what they promised?
We've just witnessed the Carney Liberals vote in favor of keeping the oil and gas production cap. Every Liberal just voted to keep in Justin Trudeau's policy of capping the production of Canadian oil and gas. What does that mean? It means Mark Carney has decided to keep the failed Liberal policy that chased away billions of dollars of investment in the Canadian energy sector. The Parliamentary Budget Officer, the independent budget watchdog, estimates that this policy will cost the Canadian economy $20 billion in lost GDP. There's an announcement this week. TC Energy, used to be called TransCanada Energy, investing $8.5 billion in the energy sector in the United States. Keeping this production cap in place will mean more stories like TC Energy, Canadian companies taking investment dollars out of Canada, investing in the United States. It also will mean lost jobs. At a time when employment is going up, as young people struggle to find work, this production cap will kill thousands of opportunities for young men and women going into the skilled trades. It'll also deprive provincial governments of much needed revenue collected in royalties to pay for roads, schools, and hospitals. Today's vote proves that Mark Carney is just trying to pull another bait and switch, saying one thing during the election when he needed Canadians' votes, pretending that he would do things differently from Justin Trudeau, but after the election, when the chips are down, when the vote is taken in the House of Commons, he stands up and does exactly the same thing that Liberals have been doing for the last 10 years, attacks our energy sector, and votes to keep our oil and gas in the ground.
We also have some new population growth data that really signals a troubling trend, and I do not know how much longer the Liberals will be able to do this and continue to try to mask it, really. It's funny, for a government who talks so frequently about doing exactly what we did after the Second World War, Canada has actually showed the slowest population growth since the Second World War. International students are leaving en masse. For some of them, that's because their visas are not being renewed or they're being denied, which is a good thing. There's also been a record high of citizen emigration, which points to a far deeper rot. Canadians are not just struggling right now, they're actually escaping. And there is no amount of political spin that can hide that net migration and natural increase are being overshadowed by the outflows right now. So according to this, our population saw 0.1%, which was the weakest second quarter growth since 1946, excluding the pandemic years. We only had 13,404 births minus deaths. Our net migration was 33,694, but that was offset by a record outflow of 58,700 non-permanent residents, including 32,000 international students. So the citizen exodus, by the way, since 2024 is officially at 118,000 Canadians that are leaving the country. That's insane. And why is that? Well, the drivers are obviously the soaring cost of living, rising crime, and the eroding of your quality of life. And to be completely clear, this isn't because of a dangerous, divided world. This is 100% politics and bad policy, of which they refuse to go back on. Let's connect the dots here a little bit. At home, we're bleeding people, citizens, temporary residents, you name it, because life is unaffordable, jobs are scarce, and youth unemployment is at 14%. People literally can't get by at the moment. And in BC, farmers are in court begging for the government to not take the lives of 400 healthy ostriches, while Ottawa uses federal police to enforce it. And in Ottawa, Mark Carney wants to distract you with his first deal. Yeah, his first deal, which is a $1 billion debt giveaway to Indonesia's sovereign wealth fund. Quite the deal we got, calling it a game changer for Canadian workers and industries, even though small businesses here can't get financing and families are drowning in debt and they can't afford anything, despite the fact that upwards of 40% of their income goes to the federal government. Weird. And the parliamentary budget officer says that the deficit just jumped to $68.5 billion this year. And then Carney goes and announces hundreds of millions of dollars in funding to foreign aid projects. Yeah, those fiscal anchors, I don't think they exist at all. And the pattern here is just incredibly obvious. Canada is shrinking at home in population, in opportunity, in confidence, in trust, because we're lied to so frequently. There's no transparency. We're just lied to and manipulated. While Carney doubles down on the globalist photo ops, government overreach, all of that fun stuff. So we're watching a country where Canadians can't afford to stay, small businesses can't afford to grow, and farmers can't even protect their own livestock at this rate. But Indonesia, my gosh, well, they just got $1 billion in financing. That sounds pretty insulting, doesn't it? Yeah, it's really backwards. And I think that's exactly why people are saying enough is enough. I'm Jasmin Laine. Subscribe, like, follow, comment your thoughts down below, and share this video. I'll be back with you tomorrow.